Hey y'all, it's me, Lydia Marie. Welcome back to my channel. Today, you guys, it is hot in Charlotte. Okay, we already in the 90s. The heat is kicking in, so I'm going to be showing you guys how I achieve a sweat-proof makeup look. These are my steps, my tips and tricks that I like to use to prepare my face for makeup and to make sure that my makeup stays where it is supposed to stay when I am outside in the heat. So if you would like to see my sweat-proof makeup tips, and this is dry skin friendly because I do have dry skin, I hope that you will keep watching. If you're new here, my name is Lydia Marie. Hi to my new subscribers. I've gained quite a few of y'all in these last couple of weeks. I'm very thankful. So welcome, welcome, welcome everybody. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification button so you don't miss a thing. And again, for housekeeping, don't forget to go over to my blog and sign up for my newsletter. Here's the little link and I'll have it down below. Make sure you sign up for the newsletter. All types of good things, exclusive deals, details, and things that I don't put on social media will only be in my newsletter. Thank y'all to who have already signed up. And let's go ahead and get into this video. It's hot, y'all. This is some really big hair and I really like it. I cut the bangs down because they were like hanging here, but they're still like right here, so I pushed it back. But it's a wig that you can turn into a ponytail, which is really why I got it, because I want a real big ponytail for summer and I gotta tame the curls, as you can see. But anyway, that's beside the point. Sweat-free makeup. How do I get my makeup to stay put when it's hot and I'm sweaty? I am a dry skin girl. If you're new here, know that. I'm not an oily girl. I'm normal to dry. Right now, and when it's hot, my skin tends to do the best because the humidity, my skin just absolutely loves it. So, but I do tend to sweat, especially right here on my cheeks and on my forehead. So when I'm wearing makeup and I'm out and I'm wearing my mask, I want to make sure that my makeup is going to stay in place and that I'm not going to be outside with Crayola or whatever I'm using running down my face. So first things first, always start with preparation of my skin. I have already moisturized my skin after I washed it, put my serum on, did my whole morning skincare routine, and I could probably link that below. It's on my YouTube channel. It's like the video before this, so I'll put a link up here. You can see my morning routine. But I've started with the Ordinary. This is a new moisturizer to me. This is the Ordinary Natural Moisturizing Factors plus Hyaluronic Acid, and I did a couple of drops of the Milani Rose Prep and Brighten oil. This is a lightweight oil. It's a rose oil, so it's hydrating, but it doesn't leave my skin feeling, you know, super cakey or oily or greasy or anything like that. So prepping my skin is first. Always use your moisturizer. Of course, I always use a sunscreen as well. I'm inside and I'm filming today, so yes, I do use a sunscreen, but I'm not using one for demonstration purposes today. But just know that my skin is always highly moisturized before I do anything, especially when I'm trying to get this sweat-proof look. Next up is how I prime my skin. I will use my normal primer, which is the e.l.f. Putty Primer. This is this one, and it's almost gone. So for demonstration purposes, I need to order some more of this. But I like to use this right here where I have the biggest pores and things like that, and right here in this zone. So I do use a primer to kind of shield my skin from the makeup, from the chemicals in the makeup or whatever. Just use my makeup, and this is also something that helps my makeup last because it's nice, it's moisturizing, but it also has like a little tacky, also has a little tacky properties to it. So I'm gonna get right here and I just show you where I have the texture right here, and I just moisturize and put it back, put the primer on that way, and then go from there. So I prime my skin. I especially prime it here because, like I said, this is where I tend to sweat the most, up in here, and I definitely sweat on my cheeks. So that is my primer. I also go between the e.l.f. Putty Primer and the e.l.f. Grip Power Grip Primer. This is something that is more for when I use heavier makeup, like a very full coverage foundation, because this just lets the makeup adhere to it. But I'm going kind of lightweight today. I'm kind of going, you know, to where it's a fresh summertime makeup. So I'm going to stick with the e.l.f. Putty Primer for today. So the next step that I like to do is to go in with a setting powder, my loose setting powder, not a pressed powder, not just yet. I go in with the loose setting powder like this Laura Mercier translucent powder, and I keep one that's close to my skin tone, and this is in the shade Honey. This is way too much, but I just poured some in the top. I have my damp beauty sponge here, and all I'm going to do before I put on any makeup is I'm just going to press this into the top, get about that much, and I'm just going to press over the areas that I applied my primer. So I'm going to press here. I'm looking down in my mirror. I'm going to press that into my cheeks, and I'm going to press that some more into here where I tend to sweat, and then I'm going to press it into my forehead. And I'm going to let that be here, just be in those areas where I tend to sweat before I put on any foundation or any other product, just to make sure my makeup is going to adhere. And especially because I'm wearing a mask, so of course it's going to be up here. I want to make sure that my makeup is set before I put it on. Does that make sense? Now this step to me is one of the most important ones, even still, before I don't have on any makeup. After I put on my setting powder, just a dab of that where I tend to get sweaty. And again, for me, putting on the setting powder is not for me. My goal with the setting powder is not for me to be control shine, because I don't have it, right? I'm just sweaty if I'm outside, but I'm not naturally oily. So a lot of girls who are oily use that step as well to control their oil, where I'm just trying to help it absorb, help my makeup absorb a little more instead of just running. Does that make sense? So again, you know, that's a trick that you can definitely use if you are an oily girl. It's a lot of influencers on here on YouTube that I follow personally who have oily skin and can tell you how to get sweat-proof makeup. And one of them is Sonia Nicole. You want to check her out. She is my age as well, or we're in the same age category, and she has oily skin, so she has a lot of great tips for oily girls. I'm a dry girl, so this is why I do what I do. Next step that I like to use is the airbrush finish, or no. So after I have applied this translucent powder, and again for me the goal is not to control oil because I have dry skin, but it is just to control, you know, when I'm sweating, to make sure the makeup does not run. However, that trick does in fact work really, really well for those of you who have oily skin. I follow quite a few influencers on here who are my age or in the same age range who have oily skin. Sonia Nicole, Keeping It Simple with Bridget, I know she has oily skin as well. They're about my same age group. They give great tips for oily skin and how to control it and stuff like that. But for this one, I'm just doing a demo for how I can try kind of control my makeup from getting all over the place when it's hot outside and I'm sweaty. So after I do the translucent powder, I go in with a setting spray that is moisturizing as well. I have really been loving this Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Airbrush Flawless, if I can talk today, Flawless setting spray. A good drugstore option is the NYX Dewy Finish. And again, I don't want anything that's going to mattify me. I just need something that's going to refresh me. So for today, I'm going to use this NYX Dewy Finish, and I'm just going to give my face a very generous spray. And once I spray it, I'm going to let that sit on my face for about 15 to 20 seconds, and then we'll get to the makeup. So when it comes to your foundation, the biggest mistake I think that people make when it's hot outside and you're wearing makeup is putting on way too much, right? A drop or a pump, or maybe a pump and a half, is really all that I need. So I'm going to use the Lip Bar Just a Tint. Can you see that? This is the Lip Bar Just a Tint, and this is the 3-in-1 skin conditioner, and this is in the shade Beige Bombshell, and I'm just going to use about that much, and I'm going to concentrate it on the areas where I sweat. And then I am going to build it out as I need it. I'm not going to go in full throttle. I'm just kind of going to go in and apply it with my fingers and then blend it in the areas that I need it. So as you can see, that gave me a good amount of coverage. I just applied it here and then worked my way back out towards my hairline. And I had to push my wig back, girl, because it was getting in my wig. But I just went ahead and worked whatever I had on my hand in, because again, the goal for me is not to put on so much that I don't sweat, but I just want to control the makeup when I do sweat. And because it is hot than a mug in North Carolina right now, I was going out the other day and I was like, ooh, I did not prep my face enough for this makeup. So I don't wear a ton of foundation in the summer unless it's for something special. So just enough for the coverage, and then I let that be it. And then that's when I go back in with the setting spray and spray my face again, or I'll even take a little bit on a brush and just continue to press the foundation or the skin tint or whatever into my face, so I have more coverage, so I have more hydration from the setting spray. And these are setting sprays that actually make your makeup last for a while, so it's really not moving. And that is the foundation. And just for the sake of really locking it in, I'm going to take a very, very, very small amount of this translucent powder that I still have in the cap, and I'm just going to lightly tap over those areas. I don't even have a lot on my brush, on my sponge, as you can see. I'm just going to take some here, take some here, especially where my mask will be covering when I'm outside. I'm going to take some here. And because my sponge is damp and because I have that dewy setting spray, I won't look dried out or cakey or anything like that. So there it is. That's my sweat-proof makeup. So after I'm done with the foundation that I've used, and I went back in, I sprayed my face, I dabbed a little bit of the translucent powder on. My last step for me is I go in with a pressed powder like this one, my Fashion Fair pressed powder that I love so much, and I take a brush or another damp sponge, not a big fluffy brush because I'm not going all over my face. I'm just taking it and spotting the powder on. So I'm going to take like that much on my brush, and I'm just going to spot over the places that, like, I'll have my mask or that I sweat, which is up here. Like, my forehead sweats like crazy and it drips right down on me. So I'm just going to take that very, very lightly, and this is going to be a little extra coverage, right? A little extra protection. Now, if you have oily skin, you might not want to do, you can do a pressed powder like that, or another option for you would be to do blotting papers or blotting powder. And I can't think of who has one. Oh yes, I can. Rihanna has one from Fenty Beauty, that sheer blotting powder. And then if you want to go a little inexpensive, Wet n Wild has one as well. Their Photo Focus pressed powder is translucent, but it's not loose. It's a pressed one. So that one is also really good. That can be good for controlling shine as well. So with this look, I am not super matte. It looks like natural skin, like my skin, but I know that the makeup that I have on is not going to budge, right? Even when I go in and put on my blush and everything, I'm going to give my face another spritz of whatever setting spray, and then I'm going to be good. But for the summer, I just do something light, like either a bronzer or a blush. Very rarely around this time of year do I do eyeliner or eye shadow, because again, y'all know how my allergies are, but that's pretty much it. That's my sweat-proof preparation / makeup face. So I hope that this video was helpful to you all and kind of gave you some basic steps on how to make your makeup last a little bit better when it's hot outside, you know, because it can be a little tricky. And now especially I'm wearing a mask or what have you, it could be a little tricky that when you take your mask off or when you get back inside or you're outside for 20 minutes, you don't want to have to worry about your makeup transferring. For me, the biggest tip to remember is less is more. A big face of foundation, full face, and things like that, it's gonna take a lot more work to make sure the translucent powder is set, make sure you have enough setting spray. So for me, I like to go in a little at a time, a pump and a half of foundation, depending on what I'm using. A nice, I cannot talk, it's time for me to go. A nice thin layer of my regular pressed powder and some setting spray, and making sure my skin is prepped before I put on any type of makeup whatsoever. That is always, always, always the key. Let me know if these steps have worked or if they work for you, or if you have a different skin type than mine, let me know what steps you take to make sure that your skin and your makeup is looking flawless all summer long, even if you're outside kicking it, having some drinks or whatever, that your makeup still is in place and it looks good. I probably should have finished my face before I did the rest of the video, but I'm just here for demonstration purposes today. So thank y'all so much for watching, and again, thank you so much for subscribing to my newsletter and checking out my blog. It's really, really my baby, and I'm so proud of it. So thank y'all so much for watching, and I will have everything linked below as usual. Feel free to hit me with any questions that you have, and I will see y'all again real soon. Bye y'all.